Prosperity mindset. We'll get started here in just a couple of minutes. We're gonna do a little something different this morning. I'm taking my little walk here this morning and get moving this morning. So I appreciate y'all jumping on. We're here every single Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, and it's designed to get our days started right. So get this thing started. I appreciate y'all jumping on. We're here every single Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, and this is a community where we build people up, and we don't tear them down. We build them up. We build leaders, and it's funny because I sit back, and I get emails and phone calls from people all over the world how this community is growing and building people and helping people, and that's what it's all about. So I'm more proud of that than anything that I've ever accomplished in my career is helping people win. Doesn't matter what background you're in, what company, what products. It has nothing to do with that. This is a community of leadership, development, coaching, teaching, mentorship. Learn from all the dumb mistakes that I made so you don't make them again, and we'll get this thing started. So we're here every single Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, designed to get our day started right. If you're here every single Monday through Friday, go ahead and type that number 7 in there. If you're brand new, go ahead and type that number 1. Let us know you're here and who invited you, and definitely would appreciate that. So I appreciate everybody jumping on this morning, excited about life, excited about where we're heading, excited about where we're going. And this morning I'm going to talk about something that I learned quite a few years ago when I was building, big time building. One of my mentors taught me something that was really life changing for me on the front end of my business, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that this morning. So get an opportunity, grab a piece of paper and a pen. This morning I want to share something with you that I think is going to change the front end of your business. When I say the front end of your business, if you're currently building a business right now from home, you're going to get better traction by using some of the things that I'm going to share with you this morning. One of the little nuances that I used when I first was introduced to this by a good friend of mine. I actually met. It was funny. I was in Phoenix, Arizona. The third time I've ever been to Phoenix, Arizona in my life, and I met a guy by the name of Robert Kiyosaki. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this morning about something that I believe that when he shared that with me, I still didn't get it, but I got it after my mentor, one of my mentors was there with me. He got it a little bit better than I got it, and then he shared it with me. And once he shared what we learned together, then I was able to take that and create some incredible dynamics on the front end of my business. All right. So if you're ready to learn this morning, you're ready to get more signups in your business. You're ready to get more people to say yes to getting to your presentations. You're ready to get more customers. Are you ready to get more volume? You're ready to have a bigger check? Let me know. Let me know. If you're ready for that this morning, give me a number 1 and let me know you're ready for more customers, more distributors, more associates, whatever your company calls it. Are you ready for more of it? Are you ready to have less resistance when you talk to people? If you're ready, let me know. I'm going to share something with you this morning as I take my little walk around this park. But all right, here we go. As you look at people, if you look at our society today, first of all, I'm going to recommend a book to you. The book is called The Cash Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. Okay? In my opinion, in my humble opinion, I believe it's one of the most powerful books that you could ever read. In that book, he lays out the 4 different quadrants that people live in, financially live in, okay? And once I was able to understand the quadrants and how those people thought, how they think financially in those quadrants, I was able to build a monster organization, okay? All right? Because once you understand how people think, if you look at a person's brain, let's just take a piece of paper and draw, 4 boxes. Just draw, one line down the middle and a line across in the middle, one vertical and one horizontal. That's 4 boxes, okay? And as we got those 4 boxes, I want you to think about that as being a brain. And I want you to think there's 4 pieces to a person's brain, all right? And as that person is growing as an individual, we're born and built to be employees, okay? Let's just get this out the way, okay? So if you look at the left side of that paper, at the top left-hand corner, put an E in there. That E stands for employee, okay? We all are built. Our society builds us and creates us to be an employee, okay? So all of us, I don't care who you are, what your background is, we're born to go to school, get good grades, get a good education, go to corporate America, get degrees, get in debt, get out of school, try to get a job that's not going to have the ability to pay all the debt back and be debt burdened for the rest of our life. That is society. That's what society has built. The economic backbone of our society is built on is debt. Go to school, get formal education, get locked into debt, buy a mortgage, have a couple of kids and a couple dogs, and live happily ever after under debt. That's how we were built. That's how we're built by our ancestors. It is what it is. Doesn't matter what your creed is, what your nationality. We're all built psychologically the same way. So that's the E. You come down right below that E, the next box down is the S. I'd put an S in that box. That S stands for self-employed. So what we do as successful entrepreneurs is we say, you know what? I'm tired of being an employee. I'm tired of making somebody else a bunch of money. I'm going to start my own business. And that's great, because that's where I was. When I got out of corporate America, I said, I'm going to start my own wireless company. And you know what I did? I owned my own self. I owned my own business. But the business owned me. I had no leverage. So I went from being an E to now being an S, which is self-employed. And I thought I was going to get more leverage, and absolutely I got less leverage. Because guess what? When somebody wanted to go on vacation, who went to the stores and worked the store? I did. When there was a problem in accounting, who went to the accounting people and fixed it? I did. There's a problem with the vendors or shipping. Who did? I did. As a CEO and owner of the company, all my money and resources into it, I had less leverage than I did before I owned the company. So I was better off as an employee. But on paper, I quote unquote owned my own business. I quote unquote did what I wanted to do, but I actually didn't. I had a ball and a chain connected to that business. Every ounce of resources was connected to that business. Every ounce of mental capacity was connected to that. Every financial dollar was connected to that business. And you know what? I had less leverage as an owner than I did as an employee. Okay? So that's the left side of our brains. E, employee. S, self-employed. Okay? Now, what I was able to learn in this little bit of a meeting, it wasn't even a seminar, it was a little bit of a meeting. And it was kind of it wasn't by design. It was kind of, we were lucky that we were in Arizona and we ran into Kiyosaki and we sat there and we had a little bit of a conversation. This is before the book even came out, the Cash Quadrant that I'm talking to you about. And what he did is he did exactly what I'm doing with you today. Is he broke down these 4 quadrants. So he took the other side of the paper, the top right-hand corner, and he wrote B. He put B there. He said, this is where you want to play. This is the big businesses over here. The B is big businesses. He said, but most people don't have the resources, the intelligence. When I say intelligence, I'm not talking about book intelligence. I'm talking about business intelligence to be on the B side. He said, so the best way to get on the B side is to get into an environment that is conducive to supporting that big idea, that big business, that big leverage, that big income, that big resources, okay? And he says most people don't have the money to create a big business. So what you should do is find a business that you could leverage, or an industry that you could leverage, okay? And what better leverage could you find other than a great direct sales or network marketing company? And he laid that out. We as individuals, we have the potential to leverage network marketing as a big business. We could leverage it. We could leverage it as what? We could leverage it as a big business financial. We could leverage the infrastructure. We could leverage the tax brackets. We could leverage the demographics. We could leverage the international presence. There's so much advantage to being able to be connected to a great company that allows you to connect with the big side of the cash quadrant. Okay? So the B side, that's where we want to play. That's where we want to be. Okay? So we as individuals, when we're sitting down talking to people, we got to understand that their brain is an E. But we're immediately trying to take them into a B, but they're an E. It's like a person failed. I remember I took a class at Purdue called Probability and Statistics. And it was probably the hardest class I ever taken in my life. And I actually tried to apply myself. And I remember getting the final grade. That thing was like a 27. I wasn't made up to be a probability and statistics expert. I just wasn't me. So I knew that that wasn't me. But some of us, we're sitting down talking to people that are E's, and we're immediately trying to take them mentally into a B. Okay? And that's where we fail. So what was I able to do? Is what I did was, Kiyosaki had a tool, a book. He had that book called The Cash Quadrant, but he also had a tape called The Perfect Business. The Perfect Business, where he talks as an expert about our industry. Okay, and what I was able to start doing was I was able to use that tool as a foundation tool for the e-thinkers. Now follow me now, this is critical. This is where you got to think outside the box. It's still duplicatable. It's a tool. It's not you. It's third party. It's somebody that's credible, a best-selling author, somebody that's world-renowned, that is recognized in psychology and finance. So what I did was I started handing those tapes out first to people that I knew that were e-thinkers, because I wanted them to hear from somebody else that their thinking was wrong. I didn't want to come across as a knucklehead, so I wanted them to hear from Kiyosaki how their thinking should be. Okay? So I started using The Perfect Business as a foundation tool before I started even talking about my business, my products, my comp plan, my leadership, my tools, none of that, because I wanted to get their brain on the right side of the quadrant. So when I started talking to them, I knew that I had a player that was in the right mental frame of mind when I started dealing with it. Okay? So that's what I started doing. And then when I started doing that, my numbers start climbing. I started getting more customers. I started getting more associates. My conversations got a lot easier. The second, third exposures were so much easier because now their brains were in the right place. They were soft, so to speak. So now I could drop in the seed of prosperity in their brains and their heads and their hearts. So now they were able to grasp what I was trying to share with them about being on the B side of the business and using my business as a financial tool to take them where they wanted to go. And then the last quadrant will be I, an investor. Once they started making money, they got their brain in that B side. Now I said, okay, how can we leverage our wealth that we're earning from this industry and invest in other businesses because we're having some tremendous success? So what am I sharing with you? In closing, is simply this: quit trying to go out there and take an e-thinker and make them into a B and an I with one conversation or with one power statement, or hey, do you keep your options open about making money? They're not open for that yet. Their brain's too hard. Their brain's not soft yet enough to absorb what you're trying to share. So you have to be a thinker and say, okay, how can I use what's around me? How can I use the resources around me? And once I was able to do that, things start happening. I started getting major duplication. I started getting people that I knew had the skills and the belief after they start listening to Kiyosaki. And I would tell them, listen to that for 3 days. I want you to put it in your car, listen on the way to work, listen on the way home, listen on the way to work the second day, and I'll call you on the third day. Because I wanted that to get in their subconscious mind. See, and then that's when I was able to I started putting in 5, 6, 7, 8 people a week, personally myself. And then it got crazy because they were bringing on their people, and it just exploded. It exploded, okay? And it doesn't matter what company. See, people get caught up on products, places, and things. We got to get focused in on people. People, people, people. What moves people? What moves people? What moves people? They have to think right before you can move them right. Remember that. They have to think right before you can move them right. I'm going to say it again. I'm burning this in because I want you to remember this. You have to think right before you can move them right. They got to think right before you can move them right. They have to think right before you can move them right. You're trying to move people places they're not ready to go.